Good evening, everyone. Tonight we undertake the massive journey to the Isle of Alchemists once again, in order to finally embark on the long-awaited prequel of Lies of P Overture. Thank you so much, and special shouts to the homie Call Me Corson for the hookup as well, in funding me the DLC. So go follow them, or stalk them, or send them creepy text messages over there. So, taking the time to read into the prerequisites, it appears that the DLC can only be accessed upon completion of Chapter 9, unlike Bloodborne's Old Hunters DLC, accessible just after Vicar Amelia, who's the third or fourth intended boss, depending on what route you take. So I figure, why not set out on another playthrough in order to prepare ourselves for the cold and unforgiving journey, because I've heard this DLC is quite fucking rough. The goal, however, this time around, will be to balance my levels more organically and use an array of weaponry I didn't use previously in the hopes of exploring further weapon combinations and to not overlevel. So this playthrough will be dedicated up through into the point of Chapter 10 and dip into the DLC just about as soon as we can. I don't really know what the level suggestion to be is, but I would imagine it to be somewhere in the 80s to 90s range by the point of Chapter 9. So without further ado, welcome back, for the second time, to Lies of P, and I'll be sure to pipe down for the cinematic immersion when the time comes. Enjoy. As somebody who thought the base game for Lies of P was just a little bit too easy, I think the only real difficulty I suffered was Romeo, if I'm being honest. I had minor hang-ups with the Corrupted Parade Master. I think it took me like 6 or 7 tries because I got bitched out a couple times. Same with the Black Rabbit Brotherhood fight, but neither of them were really all that difficult, I would say. I wouldn't say they were really that hard. I don't think there was any boss in this game that was necessarily super difficult. The Nameless Puppet took me a while too, but that was also on account of bullshit. It was literally just boss rematch. Through the Stargazer in Hotel Krat, you can relive battles against the bosses in your memories. A specific boss can be selected and challenged in battle memories, or multiple bosses can be selected and challenged consecutively in deathmatch. Okay, that's pretty cool. It's nice of them to add something that From Software never fucking got around to adding. And I got a benefit offer. What's the benefit offer? Is that because I bought the DLC or whatever? I don't remember that message popping up before. Yeah, so we're going to run through the game again, and we're going to get up to Chapter 10 so we can access the DLC. So I've heard the DLC is quite rough. I don't know exactly what it entails, but I've heard people get bodied in the fucking DLC, especially on New Game Plus, so. Granted, this is a brand new save game file. We're not going to be continuing into the New Game Plus run. There does appear to be a couple new amulets, or plus amulets, but that really honestly seems to be the only change outside of damage values and health thresholds, and I don't really find that appealing. I was really hoping they would adjust enemy locations, or they would make more dangerous versions of enemies, or something like that. You know, something to keep it interesting, and keep it engaging, and keep the learning curve moving, but it just doesn't appear to be the case. Still, that being said, I think this weapon was one of the most quality Souls-likes I've ever played. Like, they did a lot of shit right with this game. And just because every game isn't willing to go the Neo route in terms of replayability doesn't exactly make it bad. It doesn't take away from the experience at all. It just would have been nice if it was there. I do gotta say, the beginning of the game up until you get to the Watchman is pretty slow, however. It doesn't take that long to blow through to that point, but getting to that point is kind of slog. Because the Mad Donkey on the bridge and like getting up to the Mad Donkey really isn't all that interesting. But I think the game really picks up after there. I think the factory with Fuoco in it is also a little bit traveled, but I would say after that it definitely improves quality-wise, because after that you have the Cathedral, and the Cathedral's a pretty unique area. And then after the Cathedral you have Moonlight Town and everything, with the Path of the Pilgrim, and getting up to the Black Rabbit Gang. I'm definitely gonna need some time to brush up my skill, though, because I'm gonna be playing like shit. And if the DLC is as hard as people say it is, I'm gonna be getting bodied left and right unless I can get my shit together. But it's actually a little bit curious to me. On New Game Plus, I was actually doing a lot better than I was in my initial run. Like, my timing seems to be more critical. It seems to be more well-tailored. It's just strange, I guess. Maybe it's because I'm well-traveled and I've already played through the game once now, that, like, I'm a little bit more confident with it. Also, now I know what abilities I'm going to want to dip into as early as I can possibly dip into them, because they made a substantial difference in gameplay before. Let's try dickhead. Okay, they're just telling me I got all the shit already. Alright. I didn't know he had more to that. Do our Fable Arts so we get more damage out of the critical attack? Yeah. Easy. Pick up this shit. Like, that's really all he was picking that corpse over, was a sawtooth wheel. Like, don't get me wrong, I love those things, and they do come in handy from time to time, but I think another criticism I have of Lies of P, if I'm being brutally honest, is later on in the game, the thermites and the throwables and stuff like that just lose a lot of value. Like, they don't really hold any value at all whatsoever. And I wish they were, like, more tactical and purposed, I think. But it's like everything has such a massive health pool at that point in the game that, like, throwing the throwables in conjunction with other attacks, which I believe to be the best part of throwables, doesn't really come into play all that much. Like, if you could purpose them for status application to be able to, like, work your targets for their defenses or whatever, it'd be really cool, but I also don't think there's enough variety in the weapons that serve some sort of, alchemical utility. Like, when it comes to being able to apply electric blitz or, like, burning status to enemies and stuff like that, corrosion or corruption or whatever the fuck it's called. Maybe in the DLC, we'll see. I would honestly, like, if Lies of P didn't get another DLC, what I would actually really like is if they just had a weapons pack or something where there's, like, 20 brand new weapons that you can fuck around with. Like, maybe some new, whatchamacallums? Some new critical arts or whatever? Some Fable arts? It's like, I really like the interchangeability, but it gets really boring when there's only, like, 3 attacks that you can, like, possibly do, you know? Yeah, I think that's everything for this area. I mean, we have these gentleman collars up here, but other than that... Also, I think I know what Legion arms I'm gonna go for right away. I think I'm definitely going to go for Falcon Eyes over the Puppet String this time. And I want to go for Aegis as well. I don't really get a lot of use out of the Pandemonium. I don't think the Pandemonium is that applicable or practical of a tool. I definitely like the Deus Ex in certain situations, but those situations are few and far between to necessitate its use, really. That's right, this is the locked door. I thought that was the next alley down. This is also, honestly, another criticism. It's not a very dynamic tutorial. I think they could have put some more elements in here. Maybe chalked a few more dangerous enemies, you know? Because, like, this big wrench guy, when you first start in the beginning of the game, this guy's actually pretty scary. Like, he can do a lot of damage, and his red moves are, like, really mixed up and very delayed, so it's like, he's a little bit difficult to work with, but... Bye-bye, Captain Underpants. Okay. Nice shot, idiot. These guys with the Jewish candelabras suck pretty bad. I think another direct criticism of this game has gotta be the enemy variety. Enemy variety later on gets pretty good with the interchangeability between the different effects and the different unique properties of everything that comes later, but in the beginning of the game, it's kinda just like fighting the same 3 enemies over and over and over. I guess we'll get the shortcut by if some mysterious weird occurrence, if the planets happen to align and I get my shit rocked in by the puppet parade guy. Take the shortcut, I suppose. Okay, I think for this we're gonna take a couple in health and we're gonna take a couple in damage. So another thing for this playthrough is I don't want any single stat to go above 30, is kind of my benchmark. I don't want a single stat to go over 30. So I want to have to orient and augment my equipment around minimalism if I can. But that got me fucked when I tried to play Wolong, I think, especially in later playthroughs. So let's go a little bit in technique for now. We'll go 12 technique. And we'll go 12 in Vit, we'll level up even. And then we don't really have anything to benefit us here, do we? Do have these fable thingies. I can't buy a blitz from the guy. That's cool, that's fine. We just gotta hope we don't play like shit. You know, I'm gonna show up to my brother's wedding if he ever gets married. That's how I'm gonna open the door and announce myself, is I'm just gonna fucking charge up my hand and just punch it open. And then just walk in there like a bitch and be like, why aren't you marrying me? What the fuck? Do you see what I just did to that door? Alright, you big pansy. Okay, let me get my thing off. Oh, I couldn't parry right there. Excuse you? I parried. Parried too early. I parried. Are you serious? Like, what the fuck is up with that, dude? Like, so before, when I went to go hit him with the charge attack, that was actually the damage that transitioned him into his phase transition, so I didn't actually get the knockover. Which is fucking stupid, to be honest. That's cool, though. I didn't know the game worked like that. So it seems like if you just happen to hit the damage threshold mark for them to go over into their next transition, you just lose the damage, which is kind of unfortunate and kind of dumb. They do give you alternative means, however, to be able to make that damage back. And they do definitely take reduced damage through phase transition, but...
So you'll have to lie to get inside.
Yeah, I know.
You're a special puppet after all.
If I didn't have the ability to lie, I wouldn't be an alpha male. I'm not even a real boy, and I'm still more man than any of you cucks. That's actually insane. I'm gonna pick up all the items in your front yard, though. This is all mine. It's like having a yard sale. Except I'm a kleptomaniac. No, you know what? I don't want to use that. I do like the parade leader's sword. That sword is actually really good. Your worst fucking nightmare. You know what I should do? I should actually lie about my identity and say I'm Martin Scorsese, and they're like, oh shit, come right in. We have drinks and stuff for you. Also pie. I could be an internet celebrity. This game doesn't come close, but this game has going for it a lot of customizability. So there's a lot of tact with what they supply you with in this game. What if she, like, hired the parade master to stand outside and guard the hotel, and I literally just put her bot down? She's like, oh, fuck. Now I have to go out and buy new security. She should talk in a fucking AI-generated voice like Siri or something like that. Hello, I am glad to see you well. Welcome to the hotel.
Geppetto will have answers.
Would you care for a foot massage?
He was last seen on Elysian Boulevard.
I'm good. I don't even know if I have feet. I don't know if I can feel that, to be honest. Like, every time I get my ass kicked, I don't even know if I can actually feel pain.
Please find Geppetto.
Like, maybe?
Boulevard.
I think it's a stretch, though, because I'm not a real boy, so I can't feel real pain, right? That means I can't feel real disappointment either, so when I get my ass kicked by a boss 55 times, I don't gotta fucking feel bad about it.
Geppetto, but to see you in person.
I mean, I do, but P doesn't.
You should take this. Geppetto left it with me.
P doesn't have a conscience. That's what Gemini is for. So Gemini is going to be the one bearing the brunt of our shame. See, this arm is pretty cool because if I had an arm like this, I'm not gonna lie, if I ever become a paraplegic, I'm gonna be like Tobey Maguire in the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie where he's like testing out his web shooters and grabbing Sprite from across the room. Be like, oh, that's pretty cool. I can just do that now. Whenever I want a Sprite, should there be a Sprite available, I can get it from like 15 or 20 feet away. Which is pretty sick. Also, you know what? I do have another kind of criticism of this game. It's kind of weird to have a giant ornate fountain in a plaza and have it not be like underground access to a secret hidden away thing. It kind of bothers me.